What is up, Eagles? Welcome to the third episode of Bench Mob. I'm your host, Ian Lynch, and once again, I'm joined with
Jake Henning.
All right, guys. So it's been a couple weeks since we've been on, but we have a lot to talk about since All-Star break. We're going to be breaking down teams that have been trending upward since the break and a little before, and teams that have not been playing up to par lately and have been trending down. We're also going to discuss, as usual, Rookie of the Week, Player of the Week, and Jake and I each picked the top game of the week that we're going to bounce back and forth on for a little bit. So to kick things off, teams that have been trending upward, Jake, we picked the Heat and the Hawks. So the Heat have won 4 in a row, and they're 9-1 in the last 10. What's been clicking for them?
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler has just been a huge spark for this team, along with two of their young players. Kendrick Nunn has been huge, Tyler Hero as well. And the role players have just been aiding in their winning streak. You know, Jimmy Butler obviously can't do it all by himself. Feels like he is, though. But getting Dragic back was huge. They'll be getting Bam back tonight, which is huge. But they've just all been playing the Miami Heat basketball that we saw last season in the bubble. They're getting back to, moving the ball around, getting good shots. So they're playing at a level that's very high right now.
Yeah, you mentioned getting back to Heat basketball. There was a stint where everyone was saying, was that championship run a fluke? Like, look at this team. They haven't been playing too well. When Jimmy Butler's not on the court, they look like they don't know what they're doing. So it's huge, the fact that you mentioned that they're getting back to how they were playing. One of the biggest things I noticed is over the last few games, Tyler Hero has been coming off the bench, and he's been the leading man for the second unit, which I think has been really huge because Spo trusts him not only with the second unit but in the end of games as well. So he's been putting up like double-digit points and still getting starter minutes, but just heading the second unit, which I think has been huge.
Yeah, I agree.
So the second team we picked were the Hawks. They've won 5 in a row, 7-3 in the last 10. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's weird that, it might be weird that we're picking them even though they're at the bottom of the East right now, but they're at the A seed. So they've been playing relatively well, and they've won their last 5 games since their head coach, Lloyd Pierce, had got fired. Now, there were some rumors about Trae Young possibly not getting along with the head coach, some, confrontation about how the offense was being run, how the team was being run. But they're playing well right now. I don't know if this is just a bounce back from that firing or they're just playing well as a team. But they've been surging, and it's interesting, along with the rumors that John Collins, their star power forward, might be getting traded. So who knows? I mean, maybe it's a fluke. Maybe they, have been playing well. But I got to give credit to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the Trae Young rumors, like, you gotta think that maybe if those were true, there's a lot less pressure now for him to. Yes, he's their star player, he's their franchise player, but you gotta think there's a lot less pressure now for him to live up to that, even though everyone knows he can.
Right. And
it's been evident in the last few games with the numbers he's been putting up individually, as well as the team winning 7 out of their last 10.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they've been moving the team, the basketball as a team. Role players getting involved. So it's great streak for them.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit and teams that have been trending down or underperforming as of late. The first team we picked was the Raptors. They lost 5 straight, and they're 3-7 out of their last 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that this Raptors team that was in the second round of the playoffs last year, they still have their same core from last year, that they're at the very bottom of the East right now. They're 17-21, I believe. Like you said, they're 3-7 in the last 10. And Kyle Lowry's still there, Fred VanVleet's still there, Pascal Siakam's still there. So it's weird to think that this team is not in playoff contention right now. But you have to look at it as the same thing with the Hawks. Kyle Lowry possibly getting traded. We don't know where. Some say Philadelphia, some have heard Miami. But that could stir up a team. I mean, trade rumors are a detriment to a team, and especially when it's their star player. So we don't know how that's factoring into their ability to play right now. But the Raptors have to get it together soon, or they might not make the playoffs. So
you mentioned trade rumors, and you would think, though, if that were the case, that they would be playing better as to up their stock and their trade value. Right. So I find it really interesting that you brought that up, especially with Lowry, because he is their main point guard, and he's got to step it up, evidently. I mean, not just him, it's the team as a whole. Like, you can't place it on one person, but when your star point guard isn't playing up to par and you lost, you're 3-7 in your last 10 games, like you mentioned, it's detrimental to teams. So next up, we have the Rockets. The Rockets are 0-10 in their last 10 games, and they're on a 16-game losing streak.
Yeah. They lost Daryl Morey, their GM, to the 76ers in the offseason. Traded away James Harden. Their offseason plan just isn't panning out. They released DeMarcus Cousins a couple weeks ago. PJ Tucker is basically getting traded. They've already told him that. Oladipo has said it, although he maybe hasn't said it out loud many times, but many believe that he's not going to resign, that he's going to leave free agency, find a new team. And I just feel bad for John Wall, because John Wall is stuck right now. He's stuck on a team that just isn't meshing well together. They have a lot of issues on and off the court, especially in the front office. So, I mean, I don't know where the Rockets go from here. They're, virtually going to have to not tank the rest of the season, but who knows what they're going to do, because they just don't have the assets to be a playoff contending team. So I don't know where the Rockets go from here, honestly, Ian.
Yeah, I told you, like, before we started filming this, when we were picking the teams, this feels like a 2K type number where, like, you're just playing like my team or my league or something.
Right.
Someone's on a giant losing streak. Like, it's just like, it's a video game type number, but you're like, there's no way that would ever happen in real life, and here it is. And like you mentioned, John Wall is who I feel for the most, because he's out there giving it 110%. Like, he told them, like, we're gonna figure this out, we're gonna get things clicking. And like you mentioned, they're not meshing well. I don't know if it's personalities and style of play that just aren't clicking, because you saw that they tried to bring in DeMarcus Cousins with him and John Wall played together at Kentucky, so they were like, okay, they already know the style of play. They work well together. That didn't work out. Cousins is gone. Wall is still there. They brought in Oladipo, and they've been playing decent off of each other, but their record doesn't reflect it. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Like, where do the Rockets go from here? I guess we'll see if they make any moves coming up with the trade deadline. But like you mentioned, they don't have that many assets to do so. And
I mean, something to look after is Oladipo and PJ Tucker being dealt at the deadline, whether it's to Miami, to a bunch of contending teams. I know Oladipo's been heavily regarded by New York, who is in playoff contention right now, so that would be a great piece for them going forward. But I mean, the Rockets are basically sellers right now. They're not buyers, because they just don't have anything to contend with. So
yep, I don't know, it's a tough spot to be in right now. So moving forward, we have our Rookie of the Week selection. You actually picked this player, so why don't you explain to everyone why?
Yeah, well, we can't pick LaMelo Ball every week, even though he has been playing out of his mind. James Wiseman, second pick in the draft, right after him. He's been playing really well. Been a great big man for the Warriors. Sometimes he's been coming off the bench, sometimes he's been starting, but he's been playing great. He's had double figures in 6 of his last 9 games, and he's shooting 60% from the field in those last 9 games. So he's been shooting it relatively well from the 3 and in the paint, getting mentored by one of the best I would say, point forwards in our game in Draymond Green. So yeah, even though the Warriors aren't playing that well, Wiseman has been a really good bright spot for them in this time. So gotta go with Wiseman.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Especially when I was the little bird chirping in your ear. Just pick LaMelo Ball
Yeah.
before. But like you mentioned, he's been playing out of his mind. Those numbers are crazy, and having Draymond Green as a mentor. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the way he plays, but like, he's very smart the way he plays. He plays basketball like a game of chess. He's very into the opponent's mind and trying to psych them out. So if James Wiseman picks up on some of those tendencies, he could be really dangerous, especially paired up with his height and his shooting and everything you talked about. So yeah. I think that's a great choice for this week's rookie. Moving on to player. So I had player. This guy, we talked about him a little bit already earlier, but that just shows how crazy he's been playing lately. I picked Jimmy Butler. Over the last 6 games, he's had over 25 points, which is insane. And he's also been racking up assists too. He's just been really leading the Heat lately, and the record isn't great, like we mentioned, but like we said, they're trending upward, and they have a lot of potential for the second half of the season to get back to where they were at the end of last season in the championship. And I am really excited to see how far they get, especially this year, because like we mentioned, some people were calling it a fluke, and he's showed that he took that personally, and he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he get back to where they need to be. So what do you think about Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's been playing incredible. It's, like you said, he's averaging 28.8 points per game in the last 6 games, which is incredible. And he's also had 2 double-digit assist games in those last 6. So he's doing everything for this Heat team right now. You know, on offense, on defense, you saw the late game steal and dunk he had to put away the Magic the other night. I mean, that's just the kind of player Jimmy Butler is. He'll do anything to get the win. And he said that multiple times. He just cares about winning. And that's what this team is about. They want to win. And Jimmy rallies the players behind him. You know, you see his relationship with Goran Dragic. They just want to win. And the Heat bring in those players because they know that they have the same mentality. And Jimmy Butler has been a great leader for the young players like Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero. Basically just molding them and making them comfortable into getting in these situations. And so Jimmy Butler has been great, and he's definitely in the MVP conversation. And anybody who says he's not is crazy.
For sure. A point I want to piggyback off real quick is you said he'll do anything to win. A couple nights ago during the Magic, they had him do the jump ball, and they won. They won the tip. He won the tip. So, like, I just love the kind of mentality that he has. And like, if you think Heat basketball, Heat culture, that is Jimmy Butler. Everything, the grit, the hustle, the attacking offensively and defensively, like Jimmy Butler. So I love that the Heat were able to bring him in. I love what he's been able to do this season. So hopefully he keeps it up, so that way we can pick him as player of the week again sometime relatively soon.
Yeah.
So next up, me and you each pick top games coming up this week. So why don't you kick things off with the game that you picked?
Yeah, so I picked a game that was really good earlier in the year, which was the Mavericks at the Blazers. The first game that they played was an absolute offensive battle. Luka had 44 points, Dame had 34, and it seemed like they were just trading shots throughout the night. One of the most entertaining games of the season, I think. So I'm excited to see if it'll be that same thing again. And adding on to that, CJ McCollum is back. So they haven't had him for a while, so it'll be a good match to see if the Mavericks can keep up with the high-scoring duo of, Dame and McCollum. So I'm just really excited to see an offensive battle.
Yeah, you mentioned McCollum coming back. That's huge. Offensively and defensively, he's a catalyst for that team. So getting him back is gonna be good for them. It'll lighten the load for Dame a little bit, so maybe he necessarily won't have to drop 34. But you know how he is. He's going up against Luka. Luka's dropping 44, so he's going to try to drop as many as he can. But
Right.
that is definitely going to be on the top of my watch list for this week as well. But the game I picked, because you unfortunately picked that one before I could find it. The game I picked was the 76ers versus the Bucks. Both of them are pretty high up in the seedings right now for the Eastern Conference. But the main reason why I picked this was because of Giannis and Embiid. They're both averaging 29 points per game and both averaging over 11 rebounds. So you look at the similarity in the numbers, and it's like, who's going to outperform who? Or is it just going to be a deadlock, and who's going to step up on those teams to help in that deadlock? Which I'm really excited to see if Ben Simmons is going to step up, or if anyone on the Bucks is going to step up and be able to help Giannis, because Giannis is a one-man wrecking crew, but you're going up against Embiid, who everyone is saying is having an MVP caliber year. So is Giannis, but one of them's going to have to bend. So I'm excited to see who it will be.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Embiid and Giannis, two of the guys that are at the top of the MVP ladder right now. Embiid probably at the top of it. He's been having an incredible year, while the 76ers are at the top of the East right now, I think. I mean, it just seems like he's been overpowering all year. So, I mean, this is going to be a great game. Giannis coming off an all-star MVP. You know, he's feeling good right now. So, definitely going to be an interesting game.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that wraps up this week's episode. We'll see you guys next time.